Somewhere in your last 90 days of bank statements sits roughly $400 a month leaving on autopilot, spent on things that quietly stopped being worth their price while nobody was looking. Not luxuries, ordinary things. The burger, the apps, the accounts, the habits that made perfect sense at 2019 prices and kept billing you straight through everything that happened since. Between now and January 1st, I'm going to help you find yours. This video installs one habit, a year-end money audit that takes a single evening, and I'll hand you the exact three-question method at the halfway mark, then run it live on this year's casualties, the specific purchases 2026 turned into bad deals. By the end, you'll have a personal list, a December deadline, and a very different-looking 2027. My name's William. Here's the number that convinced me this video needed to exist. The average American now pays for 5.2 subscriptions at about $69 a month. And in surveys, most people underestimate their own subscription spending by $20 to $30, which means the typical household is wrong about its own recurring bills by more than $300 a year in one category before we've discussed a single price increase. The problem isn't overspending in the way your parents meant it. The problem is that prices moved and habits didn't. That gap has engineers. The modern billing economy is built on a mechanism with a boring name and a beautiful track record: auto-renewal inertia. A subscription's true product isn't the service, it's the moment you stop noticing the charge. Add price laddering, where each hike is small enough to swallow individually. Netflix's standard plan traveled from 13 to 20 in steps, no single one of which felt like an event. Add shrinkflation, where the price holds and the product shrinks instead. None of these tricks targets fools. They target busy people with working credit cards, which is nearly everyone. So if your statements contain charges you'd forgotten, that's not carelessness. That's the system performing exactly as designed. And the audit you're about to learn is the counter design. Rosa runs it every December. She's a school administrator in Tucson, and 2 years ago, over one pot of coffee and one printed statement, she found $412 a month of spending that failed her own questions, canceled or swapped nearly all of it inside a week, and describes the process now as firing employees who stopped showing up. Her brother Manny hasn't looked at a statement line by line since the pandemic. He's not reckless, he's busy, and busy is the whole business model. Same family, same incomes, about $5,000 a year apart, the price of one evening's attention, compounding. Before the method, one more piece of the machine is worth understanding because it explains the year's biggest casualty. Delivery apps run a double meter. The menu itself is marked up inside the app, around 30% at the big platforms, and then come the delivery fee, the service fee, and the tip. Run the arithmetic on an ordinary $10 fast food combo, and the door-to-couch total lands near $27, within 60 cents of a full sit-down casual restaurant meal with tip. The cheapest food in America, delivered, costs the same as table service. That's not inflation, that's a channel eating your lunch money. And it's the pattern the whole audit hunts. The price and the value quietly divorcing, while the charge keeps clearing.
Here is the audit. 3 questions, 1 evening. Everything on your statement gets interviewed. Question 1. The 2019 test. Has this item's price outrun what it gives me since 2019? Cost of living is up about 22% since then. Anything that climbed far past that pace owes you a justification. Fast food averaged 60% over the decade, double inflation, with McDonald's fully doubling. Streaming stacks rose while splitting into ad tiers. When something's price doubled and its value didn't, the 2019 test flags it. Question 2. The fresh buy test. If this charge didn't exist and someone offered it to me today, at today's price, would I sign up new? Not do I mind it. Would you actively choose it, fresh, this week? Inertia survives do I mind. Almost nothing mediocre survives would I rebuy. Question 3. The twin test. Does a nearly identical cheaper twin exist? Store brand beside the name brand. Tap water beside the bottle. Regular gas beside premium in a car that never asked for premium. Rotation beside the year-round stack. When the twin is genuinely identical, the price gap is a loyalty tax with no loyalty benefits. The method. Pull 90 days of statements, mark every recurring charge and every repeated habit purchase, and put each one through the 3 questions. Anything that fails 2 of 3 gets canceled, swapped, or downgraded that same evening. Not soon, that evening, because the entire power of the audit is that it ends in transactions, not intentions. 90 minutes, once a year, every December. That's the habit this video installs. Now, the live run. This year's audit, applied to the whole economy, produced 12 findings. Here's the list, each with its number and its fix. 1. The unaudited streaming stack. $69 a month average, 5+ services. And the fix isn't cancellation, it's rotation. Keep 1 or 2 anchors year-round. Cycle the rest one at a time for the shows you actually want. Cancel on finish. Rotation cuts annual streaming cost 30 to 40% with close to 0 felt loss. Reactivation takes 30 seconds when the next season drops. 2. Delivery as a default. The $27 $10 combo. Delivery survives the audit as an occasional service. It fails catastrophically as a routine. The fix is a channel switch, not a food switch. Same meal, drive-through or pickup, and the double meter never runs. A twice-a-week delivery habit converted to pickup returns over $100 a month without changing a single thing you eat. 3. The new car default. The average new car payment now sits around $770 a month on loans stretching towards 6 years, attached to an asset losing value daily. The audit's verdict isn't never, it's that new by default fails the fresh buy test at 2026 prices. The 2 to 4-year-old version of the same vehicle, bought after its steepest depreciation, is the twin test's biggest single win. Often $300+ a month of difference for a nearly identical machine. 4. Extended warranties and protection plans. Offered at every register precisely because they're among the highest margin products in retail. The honest replacement is the emergency fund you should hold anyway. Self-insure anything small enough to absorb and let the manufacturer's included warranty plus your credit card's automatic purchase protection cover the rest. One carve-out survives. Genuinely expensive, genuinely fragile, genuinely mobile things you're statistically likely to break.
5. Brand names on identical staples. Flour, salt, sugar, butter, over-the-counter basics, cleaning supplies, categories where the store brand frequently rolls off the same production lines with a different label at a 30 to 40% discount, the twin test at its purest. Run the swap on 10 staples and grocery bills drop noticeably by February. Keep the handful of brands where you can honestly taste or feel the difference. That's preference, and preference passes the audit when it's chosen instead of inherited. 6. The big bank savings account. Still paying around 0.5%, while high-yield accounts pay roughly 4%. On a $10,000 balance, that's the difference between about $50 a year and $400. 15 minutes, FDIC insured either way, same money, 8 times the interest. This is the single highest pay per minute move on the entire list. Let me pause the countdown here for 1 minute of honesty about this channel. Videos like this get made because cancel things and switch accounts doesn't sell ads for anyone.
which is exactly why nobody's algorithm pushes it at you. If you want more finance built like this, subscribing is the whole transaction. And this video's comment assignment is specific. Run the audit, then post your first casualty, the very first thing that failed 2 questions and what it was costing you. Rose's was a forgotten fitness app at $34 a month. I want the list this community builds under this video. Now, the back half of the 12. 7. Carried credit card balances. The average card now charges above 21%, which means a carried balance is the most expensive normal thing in American life. If the audit finds one, it jumps the queue. Every dollar of the $400 you're about to recover goes at the highest rate balance first, minimums on the rest until 0. Killing a 21% charge is a 21% guaranteed return. Nothing else on this list, and almost nothing in markets competes with it. 8. Fast food priced like real food. Up 60% on the decade against 31% inflation. Several chains up 80 to 100. The audit doesn't outlaw the drive-thru, it reprices it. At these menus, fast food is no longer the automatic cheap option, and the twin test points at the grocery store, where the same craving costs 1/3 as much. What fails isn't the burger, it's the assumption that it's still the budget choice. 9. The unused gym contract, the classic audit casualty, and the test is arithmetic. Divide the monthly fee by your honest visits. $40 across 2 visits is $20 a workout. At that rate, day passes, a used bench, or the running shoes you already own are the twins. Keep the membership you actually use. That one's not a leak, it's a bargain at almost any price. 10. Premium gas in a car that specs regular. Drivers pour a couple of $1 billion a year into octane their engines were never designed to want. The owner's manual is the only vote that counts, and for most cars it says regular. If the manual says premium, pay it. If it says regular, the upgrade buys nothing but the feeling. Check the manual once, save on every tank forever. 11. Bottled water as a household habit. Per gallon, bottled water runs on the order of 1,000 times tap. A faucet filter or a pitcher replaces the case-a-week habit for pennies, and the emergency stash survives the carve-out. This finding targets the default, not the disaster kit. 12. Live TV maximalism. The full modern stack, streaming services plus a live TV service for sports and news, lands at $150 to $165 a month, quietly recreating the cable bill everyone thought they escaped. The audit's question is surgical. Which specific games, which specific channels? Season-long league passes, single sport add-ons, or an antenna for locals frequently cover the real use case at a fraction. Pay for the sports you watch, not the bundle that contains them. That's the 12. Tally the ones that flagged for you. Most households find 5 to 8, and the recovered total typically lands between $300 and $500 a month, which is where the $400 in this video's first sentence came from. 2 objections deserve straight answers before the finish. First, this sounds like a misery budget. I like some of these things. Then keep them, loudly. The audit's entire philosophy is that every purchase must be chosen, not inherited. If delivery on Friday nights is genuinely your favorite luxury, it passes question 2 by definition, and the audit goes hunting elsewhere. This method exists to kill the spending you don't even enjoy. Statements are full of it, precisely so the spending you love gets to stay without guilt. Second, prices went up because of forces nobody controls. Why blame my habits? No blame anywhere in this. You didn't set the prices, and the absolution from earlier stands. But the response to prices you don't control is the one lever you do, redeciding. The companies redecided your prices a dozen times since 2019. The audit is you redeciding back once. And the carve-out stated plainly, if your statements show no slack at all, if every line is rent, food, insurance, transport, and there's nothing optional left to audit, then this isn't your video yet. Income is the project, and no cancellation strategy substitutes for that harder work. If a specific charge came to mind 3 separate times while you listened, the one you already know about, the one you've been meaning to deal with since spring, that reflex is the audit pre-completing itself. Item 1 on your evening is already chosen. Now the part that turns cancellations into wealth, because found money that stays in checking just gets re-spent by March. The recovered $400 needs a destination the same evening it's freed. A standing automatic transfer, dated the day after payday, pointed at the high-yield account first and investments after. $400 a month at a conservative 7% builds to about $28,000 in 5 years and past $69,000 in 10 for money that was previously buying delivery fees, Octane your engine ignored, and the third streaming service nobody in the house had opened since Easter. Manny's version of the next decade costs him that number. Rosa's version banks it. Identical incomes, one evening a year apart. Your calendar move tonight. Pick the evening, this week, not December, because the deadline in this title is January, and the line at the deadline is always shorter for people who started early. The audit itself, statements pulled, 3 questions asked, every 2 of 3 failure ended before you sleep. The redirect, the standing transfer built the same night so the recovered money has an address before your spending notices the vacancy. And the one piece too big for even 25 minutes, where that transfer ultimately should live, the account order, and what the 7% actually rides on, that's the machinery underneath this whole video. The full breakdown is here on the channel, and your audit's output is exactly the input it's waiting for. December 31st, 2 kitchens in Tucson. In one, Manny's phone will buzz with a renewal receipt he won't read for a service he won't remember choosing at a price that changed twice since he last thought about it. In the other, Rosa will run her 90 minutes with the coffee pot on, fire whatever stopped showing up this year, and walk into January with every dollar on her statement holding a job she gave it on purpose. Same city, same night, same paychecks, different years ahead. The prices moved. One of them moved back. Your statements are sitting in an app 11 inches from your thumb, and the evening you pick is the whole difference between reading this list and being on it.